This time I'm going to tell you three stories which are real. I suggest you to turn off the lights of the place where you are. You there.
The Observer's Letters. Maybe you remember this creepy story because appeared in several media. A family from New Jersey sued the previous owners of their home after receiving three disturbance letters from someone who called himself the Observer, who was obsessed with the colonial-style house of 1905 and with its new occupants. The person who had written the letters had a rather macabre way of speaking, referring to the three sons of Derek and Maria Brothers as the young blood you brought me, and asked things like, have you discovered what's on the walls? The lawsuit, which is still in court, was filed after the Brothers family left the house, fearing for their safety. The reason is that the previous owners knew of the Observer but didn't bother to warn them in advance. The house was put on sale in February 2015, but the announcement was removed after the story began to attract media attention. Sometime later, the Brothers family did something brilliant. Since nobody wanted to pay $1 million for a house like this, they requested a permit from the planning board to demolish the house and replace it with two new houses. Albert Fish's letter. Albert Fish was a pedophile, torturer. He had a set of devices that he called instruments of hell, including a butcher's knife, a serial killer, fetishist of feces, cannibal, and also self-mutilated. But he had a more despicable trait that elevated him from a mere monster to something even worse: his need to rejoice. This is the anonymous letter he wrote to the mother of his last known victim, Grace Budd, 10 years old. It is addressed to "My dear Miss Budd," and that is the only educated thing in the letter. Here is the worst part. Discretion is advised. On Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called you at the 406 West 15th Street. I brought you a pot of cheese and strawberries. We had lunch. Grace sat on my lap and kissed me. I decided to eat her on the pretense of taking her to a party. You said yes, you could go. I took her to an empty house in Westchester that I had already chosen. When we got there, I told her to stay outside. She picked wildflowers. I went upstairs and took off all my clothes. I knew if I didn't, I would get her blood on them. When all was ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me naked, she started crying and tried to run downstairs. I grabbed her and said she would tell her mom. First, I undressed her. How she kicked, bit, and scratched. I strangled her to death. Then cut her into small pieces so I could take the meat to my rooms, cook her, and eat it. How sweet and tender her butt was in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I didn't rape her. although I could have wanted to. She died virgin. The police were able to track the letterhead used by Fish to send that terrible letter, which led to his arrest. He confessed, and in 1936 he was executed in the prison of Sing Sing in New York. The Russian grave robber. In this case, a photo, even if it is as blurry as this, says a lot. This is just one of 29 dolls made of mummified female corpses that could be recovered from the home of Anatoly Moskvin, 45 years old, described by the BBC as a local historian and explorer of cemeteries of the Russian city of Nizhny Novgorod. Each human doll was carefully dressed, with hands and face covered in clothes. Some were perched on furniture, others on shelves. One of the bodies was shaped like a teddy bear and had a stuffed head on the neck. The Mirror reported that the corpses were of girls aged 3 to 12, stolen from dozens of graves, and states that Moskvin had an idea in mind when gathering his collection. Moskvin, who speaks 13 languages, and some have described him as a genius, also named the mummified corpses and organized birthdays parties for them. Moskvin also compiled updated information on the lives of every girl he had unearthed. He had printed instructions on how to make dolls with human remains. His terrifying activities were discovered when his parents paid him a surprise visit. Although he was arrested in 2011, he was deemed unfit to be tried.